Hello guys, it's Amtrak Fan 2023 here, and today for the celebration of 100 subscribers, I'm gonna make an Amtrak tier list. So let me go over here. And now let's start off with the first ones. We just get them real quick. First off, we're starting with the F7 and E8. Alright. Now, the F7, I don't really like it that much. So I guess B tier. It's going in B tier. But the E8 is way better. I love the paint scheme on it. So, S tier for it. Next up is the EMD SDP40F. Man, despite its madness of mechanical problems, it still keeps a smile on its face. Just like how Amtrak Guy 365 here. I mean, just like how Amtrak Guy 365 said. And yes. And yes. This is recorded with Mobby Zen. And yes, and this is about my own personal opinions on these trains. So I guess the SDP40F will go in A tier because of its smile on its face. Next up is the RTL and the RTG turboliners. Oh my god, the RTGs look like a bus out of context, so I got a special tier for it. Actually, I just added another tier, which is the F tier. And I guess this is gonna go in E tier because it looks too out of context. And this one's much better, so A tier. Next up is the GG1. Now, I think it's pretty average, so yeah, it's pretty average, so B tier. Next up is the Bud Metroliner. Okay, it looks really weird, so I guess the D tier. Yeah, it looks really, really weird. Next up is the General Electric P30CH. Yeah, it was a monstrosity with lots of mechanical problems. It was hated by crews. So I guess E tier. It was a monstrosity. Next up is the E60. Yeah, I like it way better than the Metroliner. So I guess A tier. Now, the classic F40PH. Yes, it's a classic. So I guess S tier for the F40. Next up is the AEM-7. Yeah, this is my favorite Northeast Corridor locomotive. Yeah, it was a masterpiece. So definitely S tier for it. Now, Next one is the GP40. Now, I don't necessarily like it, but I do like its paint scheme a little bit, so B tier for the GP40. Next up is the F69 PHAC. Oh my god, it looks way too cursed. That's it. I'm gonna put it in F tier because it looks way too cursed. Sorry about that, guys. It was just my dad entered the room. So, anyways, continuing on with it. Next up is the Amtrak ICE and the Amtrak X2000. Now, these two locomotives were only seen in 1993, and I like the Amtrak ICE less than the X2000. So I guess the ICE is going in E tier, while the X2000 is going to go in A tier. Yeah. These are two unique engines. Next up is the Dash 8. Yeah, it's a classic of mine. So I guess it's going to go in A tier. Now the A tier has 5 engines in it. Next up is the iconic GE Genesis. Yeah, it's the iconic. So definitely S tier. Next up is the F59 PHI and the standard F59PH. Now I like the F59 PHI more than the F59PH. So the F59PH will go in D tier. And the F59 will go in A tier. Yeah. And I was never able to see an F59PHI, an F59, but yeah. Next up is the HHP8. Yeah, I know I was never able to see the HHP8, but I'm planning to, and it looks pretty cool. So B tier. Next up is the Acela Express and the Avilia Liberty. Oh my god! Worth the lot of all that is holy? Acela Express original one. How many times did it tell you to get out of my house? I knew the Acela Express was going to be on this list. Yeah, I don't like the Acela Express because it's a failure. Because one time it even some passenger cars from an Acela set broke and like they detached, and they even got into a wreck with an AC-64. So F tier. I'm just kidding. It's gonna go in a new tier, which is the Acela tier. Screw the Acela. The Acela tier. And the Avilia Liberty is much more better. And it's even going to replace the original Acela. So, A tier. And please do not get offended. This is just my own personal opinion on them. Next up is the AC-64. Yeah. They're pretty average, so I guess C tier? I guess. Now, the Siemens Chargers, the ALC-42s, and the SC-44s. Alright, now, I like the ALC 42s much more than the SC 44s because there's Amtrak number 301, which looks very cool. So, A tier for the ALC 42s. And this locomotive and the SC 44s will go in D tier. And remember, this is my own personal opinion on them. Next up is the turbo train. Yeah. I love it. I love its details. So, S tier. Yeah, it's one of my favorites. Next up is the LRC. Ugh! It looks ugly. It looks straight up like a killer clown. So, F tier. Next up is the genset switcher. Alright. This is not a good abomination. Yeah, it's gonna go in F tier. It's a total abomination. Next up is this switcher, which I have no idea what it's called, but I guess I'll put it in D tier. That poopy. Next up is the Talgo 8 Series cab cars. Yeah, I'm not a huge fan of them. So I guess D tier? I guess. And last but not least, it's the two Amtrak Iros. The Northeast Corridor one and the Amtrak Cascades one. Alright. I love this one. This is the Iro for me. Much better than the Amtrak Cascades one. Yeah, screw you Amtrak Cascades. There. So, and that is my Amtrak tier list. And so, thank you for watching.